The Barber of Whitechapel by Sevastian Winters, based on true events. I make my way through the fog. The lad came round earlier, at 1:30 supper, though I was but midway through my meat pie and whisky. The lad, maybe 11 years old, with sandy hair and a face that might have seemed innocent had he not been raised as a messenger boy in the city. He bid me come at once. There'd been another. "Like the others, sir," he'd said excitedly. I had not apparently responded with enough enthusiasm, so he continued. "Missing innards and all that?" "Right," he added. "Ghastly business. They told me to come round and ring you. Said you should come at once, sir." "You have an envelope for me?" I asked, irritated that my supper was now spoiled. "Oh, right, sir. My apologies, sir." He reached into his pouch and produced a grey envelope with a waxy seal bearing the crest of Scotland Yard. I broke the seal and read the missive. I looked up, startled to see the lad still standing there expectantly, and realized my manners. "Oh, quite right. Quite right," I muttered. I dug into my pocket and pulled out a 3p and held it out to him. "Thank you, lad. I shall go at once." He doffed his cap, took the coin and deposited it into his pocket before thanking me and darting back out through the fog and into the night. I watched him as he left, and then turned my attention back to the note. It was as I feared. The Ripper had struck again. I looked toward my supper still on the table and grumbled. Perfectly good meat pie about to go to waste, and then toward my little terrier. "Well, mate, you're in for a fair treat then tonight, ain't you?" I muttered, as I dumped the contents of my supper into the happy little dog's dish, reached into the wardrobe for my coat, and made my way out into the night. Now I am at the crime scene. A crowd has gathered. I reach into my coat, pull out my police badge, and make my way through to the body. This is the 6th one, though I suspect only the 5th that is for sure the work of the Ripper. Others have taken advantage of the terror gripping the city, but to me the Ripper's mark is unique. I whisper the catechism under my breath as I step forward, careful to avoid the slickness of blood seeping between the cracks of the cobblestones. The gaslight flickers weakly, its glow swallowed by the thick London fog that coils like a living thing. She lies where he left her. Her skirts are tangled around her thighs, her throat yawns wide, and her abdomen, her abdomen, is opened in careful deliberate ruin, organs removed. Not a common cutthroat's frenzy. No, this is surgical. Clearly the Ripper. I tighten my grip on my coat, but the damp cold finds its way into my bones. Gregson stands behind me, kerchief over his nose. His voice is flat, hollow, not another. "It isn't a question." I exhale slowly. Same hand. Gregson swears under his breath. It has been over a year since the first girl was found gutted in Bucks Row. 12 months of sleepless nights of walking these same rotten streets, searching for a ghost in the fog. 6 bodies. And I have nothing to show for it. London is devouring itself with fear. The broadsheets screech their horror. The Whitechapel butcher takes another, selling ink-stained panic by the penny. Women vanish behind locked doors by nightfall. Men patrol the streets with clubs and kitchen knives. The force is stretched thin. Half of the constables are more interested in keeping order than finding the man responsible. The other half, myself included, chase shadows. 6 women have been torn apart beneath my watch. 6. And the damnable thing is, I cannot even remember the first one's name anymore. Mary Margaret. No, Martha. Martha Tabram. The first time I saw her, I still had a home to return to. I still had Eleanor back then. I stifle my tears as I consider it. When the Ripper first struck, I still had a wife who waited for me with tea gone cold on the stove. I still had a son, James, whose chest rattled in the night but who still breathed. That was before. Before I lost them both to the city's filth, to the disease that crawls through these gutters as surely as the Ripper does. Before the job became my life, because I had nothing left to return to. Now there is only the work. And the work is killing me. I have not slept in weeks. The faces of the dead blur in my mind, each one staring at me, hollow and waiting. Then, finally, a whisper in the dark. Maggie Fenton, a woman of ill repute but keen observation, sits before me in a dimly lit back room of the station. "She knew him," she whispers, voice raw. "Annie," said he offered her a free shave. "Down there, like one of the French girls." I leaned forward. "Who?" She hesitates. "A barber. The barber of Greenfield Street." A chill creeps down my spine. Of course, a barber made sense. Who other than a doctor wielded a blade so precisely? And what doctor would do such a thing? The shop stands in the filth of Greenfield Street, wedged between a butcher and a pawnbroker. A fitting arrangement. One deals in flesh, the other in desperation. Kosminski and Sons, barbers. The door creaks as I step inside. The scent of bay rum and old hair wraps around me like a cloying fog. A row of razors gleams behind the counter. The man who looks up is gaunt, his hollow eyes set deep beneath the shadow of his brow. His fingers twitch at his apron as he watches me. I do not introduce myself. "Are you Aaron Kosminski?" There's a flicker of something. Irritation. Fear? Before he masks it. "There was another murder in the city tonight," I say. "We believe it was the work of the Ripper." "Have you seen anything odd this evening?" He shakes his head, as if considering the question, but I can already tell he isn't. He's rehearsed this. "I mostly just keep to myself," he says. I do not respond. I wait for him to say more. "I cut hair," he says evenly, his accent thick but careful. "I shave beards. That is all. No time to meddle in the affairs of others." The answer seems too perfect, too confident, too practiced, like he has been expecting me, like he has been anticipating this interview. My gaze drifts to the straight razor in his grasp, long, slender, honed to perfection, a barber's tool. Is it also a killer's weapon? My instinct tells me yes. Kosminski tilts his head, running his thumb along the blade's edge. "Do you need a shave, detective?" My voice is dry. I consider the question and the likely repercussions if he is indeed the killer. "Not from you," I say evenly. There's disappointment in his eyes. I can't release the feeling that he is hunting, that my refusal has ruined his plans. I have no proof, though, just my instincts, and that's not enough. So I take my leave, for now. I dig deeper. In the coming days, I interview a landlady who whispers of strange noises from Kosminski's rented rooms. A woman swears she saw him speaking with a victim days before her death. Then the asylum report. In and out at least 3 times. The pages tremble slightly in my hands. He hears voices. He refuses food, fearing poison, delusional, paranoid. I exhale through my nose. It is him. It must be him. I bring my findings to Gregson, slamming the papers onto his desk. "We have him." Gregson exhales. "There is no proof." "For God's sake, Gregson." We are not dragging a Jewish barber through the streets without evidence. His voice is steady, but I can see the weariness in his face. The city is already a tinderbox. I feel my pulse hammering beneath my skin. He will kill again. Gregson meets my gaze, and in that moment, I see it. He already knows. My breath stills. What have you done? Gregson sighs, rubbing his temples. The asylum. They took him last night. A pause. The asylum? So, no trial, I murmur. No justice. Gregson does not reply. The city wanted a mystery, not a man. They wanted a story, a legend. I go to see him. The asylum looms against the night, its black gates glistening with rain. Inside, the corridors reek of piss, damp and madness. Kosminski sits in a narrow visiting room, his reflection fractured in the cracked mirror before him. A razor rests in his open palm, though the orderlies assure me it has been dulled beyond use. He does not look up as I step inside. For a moment, I consider leaving. What, after all, is the point? The city has its monster locked away. The papers will print their speculations. The murders will become legend. But the dead remain dead. And I need to look him in the eye. Mr. Kosminski, I say evenly. His lips move in a whisper, barely audible. Then, at last, he tilts his head, meeting my gaze. You are too late, he murmurs. A breath of cold air slithers through the cracked window. I force my voice to remain steady. What do you mean? His fingers trace the blade's edge. They have already locked me away. The silence between us is thick, heavy. I exhale slowly. No trial, no justice. Kosminski's mouth curls into a slow smile. You wanted justice? His voice is barely above a whisper. No, detective. You wanted a name. I stiffen. And now, he continues, you have one. He stands to go and bends over to whisper. I would have enjoyed giving you the shave I offered. He pauses. I would have enjoyed that immensely. A chill rushes through me as he is led away back to the patient ward. I hear him laugh as he is ushered down the hallway. To the untrained ear, his laughter is the cry of the insane. But I hear it for what it is, a shout of victory. He's won. The wind howls through the corridor. Somewhere beyond these walls, beyond this moment, London exhales. The fog thickens. Another blade waits in the dark, not the Ripper's, but just as deadly and just as depraved. I am sure the Ripper has been locked away, for his own safety rather than ours, never to pay for his crimes. Justice will never be done. But the end of the Ripper killings won't be the end of crimes in the city, some masquerading as him, but none with his finesse, his skill, or his inexplicable level of depravity and terror. Still, though, across the city, another shadow moves and another falls. By daybreak, I will be called to investigate. But the Ripper, he'll haunt me forever. Though I'm certain I know who he is, and I know the man by name. Author's note. The identity of Jack the Ripper remains one of history's most enduring mysteries. While no trial was ever held, Aaron Kosminski was one of the key suspects in the Whitechapel murders. Contemporary police documents, eyewitness testimony, and later forensic studies have pointed to Kosminski as the likely killer, though no definitive proof ever surfaced during his lifetime. In 2019, mitochondrial DNA from a shawl found at one of the crime scenes was analyzed, and the results pointed to a genetic link between Kosminski and one of the victims. A follow-up study in 2025 corroborated these findings, strengthening the case against him. However, DNA evidence remains controversial, and many historians argue that the case against Kosminski, while compelling, remains circumstantial. At the time of the murders, Kosminski was a known figure among Whitechapel's immigrant community, suffering from severe mental illness, paranoid delusions, and auditory hallucinations. His own family committed him to an asylum in 1891, where he spent the rest of his life until his death in 1919. The true horror of the Ripper case is not only the violence of the killer, but the institutional failures that allowed the murders to continue. The police, burdened by political pressure, anti-Semitic tensions, and a desperate need to control the public narrative, never officially charged Kosminski or anyone else. Justice was never served. The truth was buried beneath fear, bureaucracy, and time. And London never learned.